Alp Mehmet, chairman of Migration Watch. And Migration Watch have been around for a couple of decades. And Alp, you've always been concerned as to government policy on immigration, both legal and illegal, into Britain. These figures today, over 600,000. Someone told me that had we counted the numbers the same as last year, they would have been at about 750,000. Is that right?
That is absolutely right.
So are they conning us?
You know that the government is very clever when they dress these figures up to make them sound better than they actually are. It's not a case of conning. The fact is that were we to be calculating on the basis that we did last time round, it would have been 749,000. Right. So, yeah, to that extent, it's not that we're being conned, but we're not being told the whole story. But they've changed the way they count the numbers. They have indeed.
Yeah. Have you heard that, folks, from the other broadcasters today? No, funny that. What's your reaction to these numbers?
I'm shocked. I really am. And notwithstanding the fact that we were given to believe that they would be even higher, and I sensed that there was a little bit of jiggery-pokery going on there. They wanted that 800,000, 1 million number being discussed, so that when we heard 600,000, or as I thought it was going to be, just over 700,000, then everything would have been okay. Wonderful. The figures have come down. Well, they haven't. This is absolutely devastating, frankly. These record figures have very long-term implications if they continue. And even if we didn't count Ukraine and Hong Kong, we would still be talking about 440,000 net. That's extraordinary. Not only is this figure high, but when you look at what the population increase was over 20 years that you referred to earlier, that happened at an average annual net migration of 245,000. I'll leave it to you to work out what 600,000 means.
So if we go on like this, we're heading for 70 million population, 75 million population, and massive pressure on public services, roads and everything else.
Sure, yeah. Well, everything, every single thing. It's going to have pressure, be it your GP surgery, be it the kids going to school, be it the NHS, the number of midwives that we need, the number of surgeons that we need. Everything is going to be under pressure.
Now, interesting, I talked to Paul Bristow, the MP, a moment ago, and he talked about Labour and what Labour might be like, as if, look at the other bloke, he's even worse, But, interestingly, opinion poll this week showing the public marginally now trust the Labour Party more on this issue than they trust the Conservative Party. There's a few rubbishes here. I think actually, and I'm going to ask Alp this, I think, sir, you're right. We don't trust any of them anymore, do we?
That's what I was going to say. I haven't trusted any of them for a long time, because when you have all the experts saying, actually, high immigration is a good thing, when you hear the Office for National Statistics give us a figure, and then the OBR says, no, it's actually a good thing because it grows the economy. Yes, it grows the economy, but it also grows the population. So the slice of the cake that you get actually doesn't change at all. Meanwhile, you've got all the pressures on the services that you've touched on.
But it's okay now. It's fine out. It's all solved. Paul Bristow just told me there's no problem. Rishi's going to stop the boats. They're going to end excessive dependence coming in for, with students, and they're going to significantly cut the numbers. So it's all going to be okay.
If only. If only.
Do you mean you don't believe them?
No, it's not a case of I don't believe them. I just wonder whether they know what they're talking about. Look, I worked in Nigeria for 4 years. Great country, great fun there. But I know the sort of pressures there are for young people in particular to make their way into the West, into the prosperous West, have a better life, have an education and have a job. Nigeria, Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia it's the same. There's huge amounts of poverty and there's a lack of opportunity. So, of course, they're going to want to come here. And unless we control it, I'm afraid more and more will come.
Well, my worry on this is, of course, that nearly everybody that comes across from Calais, Boulogne on those dinghies, nearly all of them have come across the Mediterranean to begin with. And the numbers that have crossed the Med in the last year are 3 times the number that we had the previous year. What can we do with France to stop illegal immigration?
What can we do with France?
Apart from giving it hundreds of millions of pounds.
Well, I think that perhaps that we could behave a little bit more like the French do when they start reacting to things that they don't like. And this is the thing. None of the people here in this audience were asked, actually, do you want this level of migration? We're not talking about people coming to this country, contributing. I'm a first-generation migrant. There's always been migration. You touched on it. Since the war, there's been steady, sensible migration levels. It's the speed and the scale that people are worried about. And
I think it's also the breach of promise. That if you're told an election after election we're going to control this and you don't, I agree, why should we trust anybody?
4 elections.
Now, I'm going to get some comments and questions from the audience. The lady there seems to have quite a bit to say on this subject. So we're going to try and get a microphone to her. There we go. No, come on.
Okay.
I want it on immigration, so you can try later. Right, other people, the gentleman there. Now, you were the one that shouted out, I don't trust any of them. Your name, please. Matt.
Yep. Do you think that mass immigration forced into towns and cities around the UK is carried out to take the vote away from the centre-right?
Well, that's an interesting one. Some would say deeply conspiratorial. However, both in this country and in America, with the Democrats, there is evidence that a lot of people who come first generation, second generation and naturalised, there is evidence that a lot of them do vote Labour or do vote for, the Democrats in the case of the USA. To say that it's deliberate might be pushing it a bit, but it's a reality. And funny, isn't it?
Stopping it, so it's as good as deliberate.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because one of the things that Labour are teasing is that all foreign nationals should get the vote. Al, what's your thought?
If we're looking back to 20 years, Tony Blair, actually there's lots of evidence that at that time there was an encouragement of people to come to this country because ultimately they were not only sort of doing the lowly jobs, but in the end they would also vote Labour. And that, I'm afraid, was something that is recorded. Whether it's going on now, I don't think that the Tories are encouraging it, and yet the system that they've put in place effectively does it.
Is going to do that. No, absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. Other people, that put some hands up. Those of you that have got some thoughts, some ideas, some questions. Come on, you can't all be scared. Gentleman there with his hand up. Hello.
I'm Mike. My thoughts are that there's a huge need for workers in this country, and there are a lot of people have come over looking for work. Would it not be a good idea to let them work, even with an electronic tag? This area of Peterborough, there's a great need for agricultural workers, builders workers, and engineering, which has historically always been the same. But there are people here who want to work, come to work. Could we not let them work and control it with electronic tags?
3 points on that, Mike. I'm going to make very quickly before Alp comes in. Number one, we've got too many British people who aren't working, who are stuck in a benefits trap, whereby going back to work, if they go back to work, they risk being worse off a year down the road. Second point to make is that if you allow lots of people in on relatively low-paid jobs, the minimum wage becomes the maximum wage for everybody else. And we have seen those wage compressions in the building industry and elsewhere. Third quick point, if I may. If you allow people who've come illegally to work, double the number will come next year illegally. Parts of America have given these amnesties to people who've come illegally, and it's led to millions more coming. Alp, your thoughts?
Yes, I echo that. No. It would be the most foolish thing, frankly, to do, to encourage people to come here, because in the end, you get here and you can work and you will earn a bit of money, and you will certainly be earning a great deal more money than you are earning at home.
Yeah.
It will just drive a coach and horses through whatever semblance of control we still have.
I know. Great question. Thank you. I've got time for one or two more. Gentleman here with his hand up. Lady there with her hand up. Lady there first, please.
Thank you.
Hello.
My name is Mrs. Herneman, and I just want to ask you, is it a good idea to come out from the ECHR, and how soon we should do it? Is that
Well, I don't
when?
think... I want to be cautious about this. I don't think we should leave too quickly. I think tomorrow afternoon, something like that, might work.
Another way.
Yeah, no, I
we
agree.
need to do something. Action, not just words. Action.
What worries me is Alex Chalk, who's just come into the cabinet in a senior judicial position, said very clearly 2 days ago, we will not be leaving the ECHR. I know, I'm
Why
afraid,
not?
no. Well, because I'm afraid, look, the Conservative Party never believed in Brexit. One of the reasons they failed so badly, I think, on this and on many other things, they never believed in it. And they think we'll be seen as the bad guys if we leave ECHR. I believe that I mean, if you deport people, it's a disincentive. Alp, ECHR was a real problem last year with Rwanda, wasn't it?
ECHR is a huge problem, and I think we should leave. Okay, that is my humble opinion. However, what I think is also true, I personally don't believe that leaving the ECHR on its own will actually lead to the stops, to the boats stopping.
Not on its own, no, but it would help enormously with deportation.
It's just, it's out of date. It's inappropriate.
Yeah.
It's not what we need now. It's the same with the 1951 Convention. They just totally outmoded, not fit for purpose. We need to move on and look at another way of doing it.
Alp, to finish, your latest campaign and petition, tell us all about it.
Yes, the People's Petition, frankly, for so many years, people have been told that something's going to happen, and it hasn't. A lot of people up and down the country feel betrayed. Well, I've decided, my little organisation has decided, that we will have a petition for people to sign to cut immigration. Please sign it.